All right, so today I'm going to be talking about the movie that we all been waiting for. I think most people in 2022, everybody has kind of been their first highly anticipated movie of this year is Matt Reeves' The Batman. Now, I saw it Thursday night, opening night, and I want to talk about it. Welcome back to the DL Jones Show. I'm your host, DL Jones. And on this channel, I talk about all types of story-related topics, movie reviews, TV show reviews, just my thoughts on different things that we watch on whatever screen it is, the big screen or the little screen. And today, like I said, I'm going to be talking about The Batman. Now, The Batman, I meant to get this out this past weekend because I actually saw it opening night, you know. But what ended up happening was I watched The Batman, which it was super long. And then the next morning when I got up to go to work, I was having car issues, and I've been pretty much spending ever since then dealing with car issues. So I haven't had a chance to really get down and start creating videos again. I was planning to do a few of them this weekend. This is my first time getting a chance to do it, but I'm here now, and we could talk about The Batman. And to get things started, let's look at IMDb. Let's talk about who's in it and what the synopsis is and everything like that. And then we get in on my thoughts of this movie. All right. So when you look at the synopsis, according to IMDb, The Batman, it says, when the Riddler, a sadistic serial killer, begins murdering key political figures in Gotham, Batman is forced to investigate the city's hidden corruption and question his family's involvement. And that synopsis is a pretty good synopsis for a Batman movie. It sounds like a Batman movie, of course, nothing out of the ordinary. The only thing that it tells you is that it tells you right off the bat that the villain for this movie is the Riddler, which is different. You don't see the Riddler in a lot of stuff, not as the main villain. Of course, in the old 66 Batman, you see him pretty often, but like since then, I mean, he's shown up here and there in different cartoons and stuff like that, but he's never been like the main guy, you know, the main guy that Batman is going after, which I take that back because one of the old Batman movies, I think, the Riddler was in it, but I don't think he was the main guy in that one. That was when Jim Carrey played the Riddler, but I don't think he was the main villain in that movie. I'm gonna have to look that up. I mean, it's been a while ago. I haven't revisited those old Batman movies in a while. Now, this movie, like I said, it's the Matt Reeves Batman. Everybody was waiting on the Ben Affleck Batman. I say that, I don't know how true it is. I was waiting on the Ben Affleck Batman. Anybody that has ever talked to me about Batman, about the Batman movies, which to be honest with you, I haven't been that vocal about it because I'm not like a super duper Batman fan. But I was looking forward to a Ben Affleck Batman, the Batfleck. I was looking forward to that movie, and I've been kind of disappointed ever since they announced this movie and it's not Ben Affleck and it's not his Batman. I wanted to see a Ben Affleck official Batman movie, not none of the crap that they've been doing, piecing him into this movie and that movie and coming out with mediocre movies, you know, like Batman v Superman and stuff like that. I wanted to see a legit Ben Affleck directed, Ben Affleck acted Batman movie. That's what I wanted to see, and that's what I still want to see. But we have this. Now, the people that's in this movie, we got, you know, Robert Pattinson. He is the Batman of this movie. We got Zoe Kravitz. She plays Black Cat. We got Jeffrey Wright, which he seems to be in everything. You know, he's in everything these days. Excellent actor. He plays Commissioner Gordon. And then we got other people. Colin Farrell plays an unrecognizable Penguin. You cannot see him in that Penguin character. When I was watching the movie, I knew he was the Penguin, but I kept looking for him in the character. He completely disappears into that character between all the prosthetics and makeup and all of that kind of stuff. Then we got Paul Dano as the Riddler, which I'm not familiar with him. I'm not familiar with that character. One person that I was kind of surprised to see was John Tuturo. Or Tuturo. I'm not sure how you say his name, but you know, he's an excellent actor. I know him from way back. He was like in a lot of the old school Spike Lee movies, Do the Right Thing, stuff like that. That's where I first caught on to him because he's always been a good actor, you know. But I like seeing him in the role he played in. He plays like a mob boss. But yeah, that's what we got. I mean, there's a lot of other faces you might recognize. Andy Serkis, Jamie Lawson, you know, there's other faces that you might recognize us in this movie. And you know, there's plenty of room for them because like I said, this movie was long. So what did I think about this movie? Let's talk about that. All right, so I've said it several times here, and right off the bat, I have to tell you, this is a long movie. I think it's like 2 hours and 56 minutes, almost just under the 3-hour mark. And it feels like a 3-hour movie. To me, it actually feels longer than a 3-hour movie. I was kind of waiting for this movie to end. It felt like, there's a joke that goes on if you look at a bunch of different things. There's a joke that says like the Lord of the Rings got about 3 or 4 different endings when you watch the last movie. And this movie kind of feels the same way. It feels like there's about 3 different endings. Right when the movie should have ended, there's another 20 or 30 minutes left, and it felt long. It felt like they could have really tightened up this movie and removed like a good hour of this movie and not lose anything as far as enjoyment, and an hour of this movie, that's a lot of movie that they could have cut and still not, lost anything, in my opinion. Other than it being long, I enjoyed the movie. It was pretty good. It gave me a lot of things that I don't see that much in a Batman movie. One of the things is Batman is actually a detective. In this movie, he is actually solving crimes. Of course, he's dealing with the Riddler being the main villain. So every time he goes to a crime scene and he's looking around, there's these riddles and stuff like that he got to figure out. And Batman was on it. He was solving them riddles. He had help from Alfred. There were a couple of scenes where there were like puzzles, not necessarily puzzles as far as riddles, but like things where they had like a key and a couple of letters and they had to figure it, like some kind of encryption or something like that. And he had to try to figure it out. And Alfred helped him out a lot there in those situations. But man, he was right on the spot when it comes to solving those riddles. He would walk into a crime scene and look around and he was just picking up stuff, picking up clues, picking up this, picking up that. They really leaned into the world's greatest detective motif with this particular Batman. Now, I feel like they could have done a little bit more with that because there were some things that got by him that, with as sharp as he was on a lot of the things, on most of the things that did get by him are things that shouldn't have gotten by him. But, of course, this is year 2 Batman. So I'm guessing, he hasn't had the super long lifetime of experience as we're used to in the cartoons and all of that kind of stuff. He's still fairly new, Another thing I liked about this movie, well, I got mixed feelings. Now, they had some pretty good fight scenes. Batman went in and he just beat everybody down. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a situation where you felt like Batman couldn't handle himself. He walked in a room and just took out people, But the fight scenes itself weren't really that impressive. They were just like brawls, Batman is supposed to be like this super martial art expert and all of this kind of stuff. And you didn't really see any of that. You just saw a guy that can fight real good, that can throw punches and all of that kind of stuff. He didn't use his gadgets all of that much. I think he only threw like a batarang one time throughout the whole movie. He shot like his little the little bat, whatever, the little grappling hook thing. He shot that a couple times, but a lot of the Batman gadgets that we're used to seeing, that we like seeing Batman use, we just didn't see that much of it. Most of his scenes was just him brawling and he was beating people down. But it was nothing impressive about it. They kind of reminded me of the fight scenes of that movie, Nobody. Now, in that movie, if you go back to my review of that movie, I talked about how I liked those fight scenes because they were gritty, rough, rugged fight scenes. It didn't seem like he was somebody that was going to go out there and nobody could touch him. He was in a fight, And Batman, the fight scenes were along those same lines, except for he didn't take it as much as he was giving it. He was giving it all, but it was just like a grimy throwdown brawl in most of his fight scenes, which was good. I just kind of expected more, as far as those fight scenes. And I'm guessing we're not going to get no well choreographed fight scenes in these movies, just sort of like on Shang-Chi or anything like that. I guess I can't expect that, but I was kind of expecting more closer to that than what we got. But I mean, it's just a nitpick. It's not that much. I was just kind of a little bit underwhelmed with a lot of the Batman type stuff. The Batmobile comes out, and when they do bring the Batmobile out, that was a pretty cool scene, but the Batmobile just wasn't that impressive of a vehicle like you're used to seeing. And he didn't really do much with it. He just chased somebody and pretty much chased somebody in a straight line, you know. And that was, I mean, it's just a lot of the Batman stuff you kind of expect just wasn't there. Or if it was there, it was there in very watered down, diluted versions of what you kind of was hoping to see. And I say that as a criticism, and I get why they did it. You know, this is supposed to be year 2 Batman. He's just starting out. You know what I'm saying? He's not well established like the Batman that we usually see that has all of this stuff all, you know, got an answer for everything and got a trick for everything. He's not at that point yet. But and I can understand that, you know, but it didn't take away from my enjoyment. It was just like a thing where I was just watch things and be like, oh, I wish this just would have been a little bit better. The relationship with him and Selena Kyle, the Black Cat, that was pretty good. I really enjoyed every scene that she was in. You know, she was pretty good in the movie. Zoe Kravitz character, the Black Cat. I liked her introduction. I like her character in the movie. And I felt like Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz, I felt like those two were pretty good together on the screen, Batman and the Black Cat. You know, I feel like they were pretty good on the screen. But then you have like, you know, Robert Pattinson, the thing that I didn't think he would do was be a good Batman. I kind of felt like when I heard about Robert Pattinson, I can't picture him as Batman. I couldn't picture him as Batman. I felt like he was Batman is supposed to be a tall, brooding guy. You know what I'm saying? Like Ben Affleck, I think in real life, he's like 6'5", you know. Batman is supposed to be like a terror, a nightmare, you know. And Robert Pattinson, I don't know how tall he is, but I'm guessing he's probably not 6 feet. And he looks it on the screen, you know. You have to either use fancy camera tricks, which they did, and I could see it, you know, to try to make him look more impressive on screen than he actually probably was. Or you have to cast around him, cast people that are smaller than him. And they did a good enough job to make it so it wasn't that distracting. But there are some scenes where I'm like, okay, this guy looks like a regular dude. You know, he doesn't look like the hulking, menacing Batman, which Batman is not like he's not like a Thor or Incredible Hulk type person, but he still was like a tall, large guy that is impressive and scary when he, you know, corners people down. You know, they're looking at him like, oh man, what are we going to get into? You know, and he wasn't that, you know, he wasn't quite that as far as his appearance, as far as how his presence, you know. And I go all on that long tangent just to tell you that I figured that Robert Pattinson would be better as Bruce Wayne, and as Batman, he wouldn't be that impressive. I was completely wrong. I felt like it was the opposite. I feel like I liked him on the screen better when he was Batman than he was Bruce Wayne. And I don't think it's Robert Pattinson's fault. I think that they just made Bruce Wayne some kind of emo, sad sack. You know, he just made him somebody that wasn't that enjoyable on screen. You know, he was just always just whining and brooding and looking down to the ground. Half the scenes in the beginning of the movie, he got that black makeup around his face to make him look emo. I mean, the Bruce Wayne character, you know, you think of a billionaire playboy, you know, sort of that type of character. And I got none of that with this Bruce Wayne. I got like a sad, whiny, recluse, you know, and I felt like that part wasn't that interesting. And the good thing about it is that most of the time when he was on the screen, he was Batman. He didn't spend a whole lot of time being Bruce Wayne, you know. He just was Bruce Wayne to get from one scene to the next to where he get to be Batman again, which was a good thing, you know. But like I said, this movie felt long. It felt really, really long. Now the Riddler was the main villain, right? But there was really like about 3 different stories going on in this movie. You had the Riddler, the overarching villain. He's the one that Batman was trying to capture throughout the whole movie. But then there were a couple of other things that was going on in this movie. One thing was, you know, there was a B story about his family and the mob boss and all of that kind of stuff. And a lot of him investigating what the Riddler is talking about led him to uncovering those things with his, you know, his father and this mob boss who played by John Tuturo. Tuturo, a lot of that stuff came on. So that was kind of like a story within itself. And it's funny because when that story ended, to me, it felt like that should have been the end of the movie. But I knew it couldn't be because he hadn't caught the Riddler yet, you know. But that felt like it should be the end of the movie. And the Riddler still had a long way to go. I want to say it was another good 25, 30 minutes after what I felt like is the end of the movie happened before he finished up the Riddler. And then even after he caught the Riddler, that still wasn't the end of the movie. He caught the Riddler's in jail. That's still not the end of the movie. It still had a whole nother section that he had to go do. It just felt, oh, it was just so long. It's funny because a lot of times when I watch these superhero movies, at the end of the movie, you know, I sit around and try to see if there's some kind of after credit scene and all of that kind of stuff. But when this one was over with, I got up and left. I was like, I don't even feel like waiting. If it is, I'll find out later. I didn't want to wait to see what was going on because I already felt like I was in there forever, you know. Other than that, you know, other than the movie being really, really long, I really enjoyed this movie. I'll tell you what this movie felt like to me. They tried to make this movie have like a super epic feel. It seemed like they tried to make another Joker, like the Joker that we saw a couple years ago and won the Oscar and all of that kind of stuff. It seemed like they tried to make something on par with that. And it had that feel, like you can tell that's what they were going for with this movie, to try to make this long, sprawling epic that everybody's going to leave and it's going to win awards and stuff like that. I don't feel like they got there. I can tell they were trying, but I don't feel like they got there at all. I feel like it's a mediocre Batman movie. I mean, it's enjoyable. It's fun. It's not bad in any way, but it's not like the best thing that I've ever seen either. You know, I had a lot more fun with movies, with superhero movies that I've watched that I don't think is as good as this Batman. Like, for example, Shang-Chi. I don't think Shang-Chi is as good as this Batman movie, but I enjoyed Shang-Chi a whole lot more than this Batman movie. Spider-Man No Way Home. I do think this one is better than the Batman movie, and I enjoyed it. I mean, I guess I don't even have to talk about that because I do think that that one is a superior movie in every way. But, you know, like I said, you know, movies that I feel like are half the movie as Batman for me, have been more enjoyable than Batman. And don't take that as meaning that I don't like Batman, because I did enjoy it. You know, I did enjoy it. Do I think I would watch it a second time? I don't think so. And it's not this movie's fault. For some reason, a lot of the Batman movies, I kind of have the same feeling. You know, after I see it once, that's all I need. You know, I don't need to see it again. The Nolan Batman movies, I know everybody think they're great, but I thought they were kind of dull. You know, I thought they were okay. I enjoyed them when I watched them, but I thought they were dull movies. They didn't stick with me. You know, I never had the urge to watch it a second time, you know. And I kind of feel the same way about this one, except this one feels longer than those movies. I don't know, maybe those movies felt long to me too, but this one just felt so long. I mean, this one felt obscenely long for some reason. It felt like to the point where I'm almost getting angry at how long this movie is, you know, and I almost feel insulted by how long this movie is. Movies that are 3 hours long don't always feel that way with me, because I've watched movies that were that long and I didn't get that same feeling, but I did with this one, you know. Good thing is that whenever I started feeling like that, something good happens and it takes me out of it for a little while. Like at the end, when I was like, okay, we done had 2 endings already. Why is this movie not over? Then some more stuff happened and makes it good again, you know? So that's what happens when I watch this movie. But at the end of the day, I do feel like it was real long. I feel like it was too long, you know? Almost like if Matt Reeves thought this was his only shot, he better make the best of it. You know, I don't know, maybe it was. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the Batman. I really enjoyed it. I think it's really good. If you have no problem watching a really long movie, go check it out. You know, I think it'll be streaming on HBO Max in about 45 days. I almost feel like it's not a bad idea to wait, you know. Unless you absolutely want to see it now and have to see it in a movie theater. It is no Spider-Man No Way Home. It is not that exciting and it is not that good of a movie, but it is a good movie, you know. But there you have it. My thoughts on Batman, the Batman, and I'm glad for you to watch. I'm glad that you watched this video. And if you like what I have to say about this movie and you want to see more about things I talk about, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, give me a like, and hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.